For years, I lived this way, finding myself at the beginning of another new year setting the same goals over again because I hadn't achieved them. I was well intentioned about my goals, my relationships, and even my health, but the distractions of life soon caught up with me and carried me far away. And the results showed it. Hello, friends, and welcome back to The Free Advantage, brought to you by The Risky Path. I want to invite you to join me each week as we explore self-discovery, authenticity, and the journey to uncovering a life of freedom. This podcast is about sharing and exploring impactful experiences that we all share in a relatable and digestible way. With so much information out there, it can be overwhelming to take it all in. And here, I want to give you small bites that you can take back into your week and integrate into your daily life. Here we are 2 weeks into the new year already, and I don't know about you, but so much has already happened. As you know, I was in the middle of a move this past week, and we have, I want to let you know, officially made it to Texas. I am so grateful that everything went well with our move and that it was just as smooth as it could be. And as we move into this next phase of our move, it's time for us to start unpacking and to get settled in. As I do this, I've been thinking about so many things, and I just know that this year is going to be one of transformations for a lot of us. And for some of us, it already is. I was laying in bed this morning thinking how we are only 2 weeks in and so much has transpired, not just in my personal life, but in the world. A new year usually has us all thinking about new possibilities and opportunities. And it's a time that we start working on goals that we have wanted to achieve. This is usually the time where we set goals, make plans, and set intentions for what we expect and hope to be the best year of our lives. This is when we tell ourselves this year, things will be different. A new year, a new us. We start out on New Year's Eve filled with hope, excitement, and intentions. We decided assuredly that this year we are going to hunker down and work on our new plan. It sounds so wonderful, doesn't it? Thinking of all the awesome things we are going to do and how great we hope this year will be. But how many of us know that before long, all the excitement, motivation, and determination start to wane? How many times does life start to happen? Bringing things we never expected, distracting us, confusing us, and leaving us feeling uncertain. Unfortunately, too many of us, and too many times. While the start of a new year can invoke the idea of something new, the truth is that just because the year flipped over in number and is new, doesn't mean we are. The seconds on the clock as we counted down on New Year's Eve, even as much as we wish it did, does not mean that everything has changed. We walk into the new year very well-intentioned, but with the same patterns, triggers, bad habits, and traumas we had 10 seconds before. And as the days start passing us by, the distractions come. They come in like a wave and quickly crash over us, drowning every goal, plan, and intention in its wake. We will shortly lose track and fall into the trap of our well-intentioned plans. We find ourselves back in a place of longing for things to be different. We feel desperate and disappointed as we watch the hope of a new and better year, a new us, and our well-intentioned plans disappear as the days pass by. We cannot plan for everything. We can only mitigate risk so much before inevitably something comes in to corrupt our hope and intentions for something great. 2 weeks. We are 14 days exactly to the date from the breath of fresh air we hoped this year would be. We were so well-intentioned with our hopes and dreams. As I have been reflecting on last year and the past 2 weeks already, I wanted to dig into the difference between what our intentions really mean and what it looks like to shift from being well-intentioned to being truly intentional. For years, I have lived this way, finding myself at the beginning of another new year feeling excitement and motivation, and also setting the same goals over again because I hadn't achieved them last year. I have been very well intentioned about my goals, my relationships, and even my health. But the distractions of life soon caught up with me and carried me far away from what I thought was going to be the best year yet. And the results showed it. Change comes whether we want it to or not. And it can come in ways we want and don't want as well. How and what we do with it when it happens is what matters. We all know the only constant, the only predictables and assurances in life are death, taxes, and change. And what is change, really? Change refers to the making adjustments or modifications to something. It's usually our response to something that happens gradually over time. And for me, after living in the same cycle year after year, over and over again, I have learned that being well-intentioned without real action won't lead to the change we hope for. What I believe we are really hoping for every new year is actually transformation. Transformation is a more profound shift. This is where we create something entirely new. It's deeper, deliberate, and by design. Have you ever found yourself feeling this way, year after year? Have you ever been excited, relieved even that a new year is starting and you can put all of the things from last year away and look to the freshness and hopeful, well-intentioned plans for the new one? Have you found yourself a few days, weeks, or month into the new year starting to realize things may not be starting out the way you had hoped? I know so many of us have. We are yearning for more, something different, something new. Not just change, but real transformation. But how? How do we do this? Well-intentioned describes our motivation behind why we want to achieve something, while being intentional describes our execution of those things with a clear purpose. This understanding that being well-intentioned was not being intentional is the shift that really changed things for me. Intentional means acting deliberately, fully aware of your choices and their consequences. Think about that for a moment. Being intentional means deliberate action. Not just planning, hoping, or meaning well, but doing, on purpose, with purpose. Just like transformation, it's deeper, deliberate, and by design. It's intentional, deliberate, and on purpose. We must put our intentions into action by being intentional. This is where we make the word an action verb in our lives instead of the adjective or noun. Intentional is something we do, not something we are. So how do we move from well-intentioned to intentional? You're going to be aware. Our awareness of what we desire is so important. Check in and ask yourself, what changes are you hoping for? Why do you want these changes? Ask yourself, what is truly important to me? Not just the goals you think you should have, but also the ones that align with your values and your vision for your life. Remember, if your goals and intentions do not align with your values, you're going to have a lot of difficulty trying to keep them. You also have to be aware of the choices you are making and their consequences. Remember, when the clock turned over to the new year, nothing but time changed. We still have the same patterns, triggers, and traumas, and we have to be aware when making decisions that the consequences they're going to bring. We are used to making choices from the same old version of ourselves. It is crucial for us to recognize this. When this happens, we need to pause, refocus, and remind ourselves why our goals matter, and then take the next intentional step. And second, be deliberate. Everything we do, from our thinking, Our behavior and our choices should be intentional on purpose. We should no longer be flying by the seat of our pants. We are no longer living reactionary, but being intentional. Take time to pause before we move, before we speak, and before we answer. You definitely want to stay aware and be deliberate. Remember, we are turning intentional into a verb. Creating a life of freedom means we take intentional, deliberate actions that promote our values and the life we want. Most of the time, we are doing things that we have to do or we think we should do, instead of doing the things that align with who we are and our values. But being intentional doesn't mean you won't face challenges. Distractions, temptations, and old patterns and habits creep back in and suck us away from our new intentional lives and routines. It happens to all of us. And if we're not aware and conscious, if we're living on autopilot, we'll find ourselves carried away by those waves of distraction. The world we live in is built to distract us. It's personally curated literally down to the exact algorithm of our preferred and most vulnerable types of distractions, making it almost impossible for us not to be. Distractions aren't just a nuisance. They're a full-blown Olympic-level challenge, and it is challenging us to see how committed we are to being intentional. And while it's hard, it is not impossible. We have the power to stand up. We have the power to say no. We have the power to choose how we handle all that we've been dealt. You cannot sidestep distractions. They are, like I said, built in. But what you can do is meet them with purpose. Stay intentional and choose not to be swept away and out to sea by them. As we journey on into this new year, I encourage you to reflect on your intentions. True transformation is by design, architected to our unique, authentic selves. What do your blueprints look like? What values are you living by? What do you want to create in your life? And most importantly, how can you make those intentions actionable? How can you live deliberately with full awareness of the choices you're making and the path you're on? I encourage you to take some time this week to reflect on these questions. Sit down and write the answers out. When you put actual pen to paper, you might be surprised at what lands on the page. This year doesn't have to look like the last. You have the power to move beyond your nature, beyond your habits, and beyond what life throws at you, and into a life of freedom and authenticity. Thank you so much for joining me today on The Free Advantage. As we journey on into this new year, let's commit to more than being well-intentioned. Let's be intentional. For more resources, please visit my website, theriskypath.com. And if this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who might need to hear this message. And remember, like, subscribe, and leave us a review. Your voice matters, and it helps us to grow and get our message out to more people just like you. Let's continue this journey to freedom together. And remember, freedom is the advantage you already own. Until next time.